Good evening, everyone. I am Shalini Sahay, Assistant Professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication, SIRT, Bhopal. Today, in this lecture, I am going to discuss the transmission media. Transmission media is simply the means through which data is transformed from one place to another, or transmission media is the pathway that carries the information from sender to receiver. This could be through wire, fiber, optics, vacuum, or coaxial cables. We use different types of cables or waves to transmit data. Data is transmitted normally through electrical or electromagnetic signals. Transmission media is also called as communication media. This is the different type of transmission media. Use of transmission media in computer. Transmission media plays a very important role in computer network. In computer networking, it is used to transfer resources like data or information from one place to another. Transmission capacity in terms of bandwidth and data rate depends on distance and type of network, point to point or multi-point. Types of transmission media. Transmission media is broadly classified into two groups: wired, which is also known as guided media or bound transmission media, and second one is wireless or unguided media or unbound transmission media. This is the classification. Transmission media is divided into two kinds, wired and wireless. Then wired is differentiated into four types: twisted wire, power line, coaxial cable, optical fiber. Whereas wireless communication is divided into two: radio based on the frequency, frequency, and second one is infrared. Then radio frequency is classified as narrowband, spread spectra, and microwave. Wired transmission media is also called as physical media or guided media. In wired transmission media, one network is connected to another network using a set of wires. Wired transmission media provide physically constrained signal proportions. In contrast, wireless transmission media provide unconstrained signal propagation. This is the wired transmission media. Types of wired transmission media, there are three types: twisted power pair, coaxial cable, and optical fiber cable. Twisted pair cable is very commonly in our daily life. Even a phone wire is also made up of twisted pair cables. It consists of 8 wires and 4 pairs to each. Very cheap technology as compared to other like fiber optical cables and coaxial cables. Twisting reduces interference. Twisting decreases the crosstalking interference. Twist length varies from 5 to 15 centimeters and in pairs have thickness from 0.4 to 0.9 mm. Twisted pair cables. Applications. Most common transmission media for both digital and analog signals. It is less expensive compared to others, limited in terms of data rate and distance, used for telephone network, used for communication within buildings, which allows data rate of 64 kilobytes per second. It is used to transmit both analog and digital signals. It requires amplifiers every 5 to 6 kilometers for analog signals, requires repeaters every 2 to 3 kilometers for digital signals. Now, types of twisted pair cables. UTP, which stands for unshielded twisted pair cables. It is affected by electromagnetic interference. Second one is STP, that is indicated by shielded twisted pair cable, and it is not affected by electromagnetic interference. Coaxial cables. It consists of two conductors separated by insulations. It is hollow outer cylindrical conductor surrounding an inner wire conductor. Outer conductor covered with a jacket or shield. Diameter is from 1 to 2.5 centimeters, and its construction reduces interference and crosstalks. It can be used over longer distances and support more stations. It carry more data as compared to twisted pair cables, and it is mainly divided into two parts: thin cable and thick cable. Coaxial cables application, it is mostly commonly used in cables, TV, traditional part of long distance telephone network. It can carry more than 10,000 voice channels simultaneously using frequency division multiplexing, that is FDM. Short range connections between devices. Characteristics, it is used to transmit both analog and digital signals. Superior frequency characteristics compared to twisted pair, can support higher frequencies and data rates. Its shielded concentric construction makes it less susceptible to interference and crosstalks than twisted pair. It requires amplifiers every few kilometers for a long distance transmission, and it also requires the repeaters. Then we switch over to optical fiber cable. It provides better and fast communication as compared to twisted pair cables and coaxial cables. It transfers data at very high speed through light signals. It is thin, flexible material to guide optical rays. It cross section with three concentric links: core, cladding, and jacket. Optical ray travel in glass or plastic core, and it is main divided into two parts: single mode optical fiber cables, and one in which only one light signal can transmit at a time, and multiple mode optical fiber cable where more than one light signal can transmit at a time. Application, they are used in long haul trunks, increasingly commonly in telephone networks about 1500 kilometers in length with high capacities. Metropolitan trunks, average length of about 12 kilometers with a capacity of 1 lakh voice channels, mostly repeatless to join phone exchange in metro areas. In rural exchange trunks, it is also used. It also used in subscriber loops, and it is also used in local area network where 100 megabyte per second to 1 GB gigabytes per second capacity and can support 100 of stations on a campus. Its main characteristics are based on total internal reflection. For this to take place, light has to travel from rare to denser medium. Hence, in optical fiber, the core is rare as compared to cladding. Since optical fiber propagates light, a distance device is needed to convert electrical signal pulses to light wave of different wavelength. This is achieved by using WDM, wavelength division multiplexing, and laser is usually used for the propagation. Optical fiber transmission is consists of three modes: step index multimode, step index single mode, and graded index multimode. Among all these three, single mode is used for the transmission. This is the twisted pair. It is a cable that is consist by pair of copper wire twisted, and these copper wires are enclosed with the outer sheath, and the most commonly twisted pair is the unshielded twisted pair. These are the coaxial cables, which are moderately immune to outside electromagnetic interference compared to the twisted pair, and was first invented to be used for an analog TV to transmit on frequency range from 30 megahertz to 3 gigahertz. These are the optical fiber cables. These cables much greater data transmission rates than coaxial cables and twisted pairs. The advantages of wired transmission media, which have some disadvantages that wired network easily overcome. Wireless technology has become part of everybody's life. Everything from phone and satellites to computer equipment and the internet no longer requires long, bulky wires to work properly. However, many wireless forms of transmission medium have shortcomings when compared to wired transmission media. In instances where reliability, compatibility, and security are necessary, it can be advantageous to have wired communication. Operability and reliability, wireless devices don't work as well as they should. They can experience interference, fluctuations in bandwidth, and instability from weather. Wired network experience little interference and rarely have disruption due to inclement weather. In case of a wireless home alarm, the system can experience radio frequency interference and distance limitation, whereas wired alarm system can transmit without nearly as much interference, making distance almost a moot point. Compatibility. Many older computer systems are not compatible with wireless communication. They require extra hardware such as Bluetooth adapter to use limited range of wireless devices. Even then, some older operating systems are not compatible with wireless transmission media at all. Wired data transmission, on the other hand, is highly compatible with both older cell phones and computer using everything from phone lines to USB or Ethernet cables to transmit data from system to system. With the right hardware, it is possible to connect more devices to one another using wired means than with wireless. Speed, wireless networks and other transmission media have made gains in speed and reliability, but they pale in comparison to the speed that wired networks can provide. Internet access, for instance, will transmit data for faster than a wireless internet connection. Wireless connections often suffer from interference and weaker signals, depending on the location affecting the speed of data transmission, and wired connection overcome both quite easily without any loss in speed. Comes to the security, they tend to suffer from more security attack than wired networks. In a wired network, a hacker would have difficulty walking into home or business and tampering with the wires. However, in a wireless network, a hacker only needs to have close proximity and a knowledge of how wireless data transmission works to get inside. A hacker can simply use a vulnerable wireless connections to serve the net, or he may steal personal data stored on computer within the network. He also will have an easier time intercepting data went wirelessly than data sent through a wired connection. Hence, wired transmission media is used for data transmission in a live and this modern world. Thank you.